Yes, you. Are you a psychopath? Now, I know you're probably going to say, there's no way, there's no chance in hell I'm a psychopath. Well, isn't that what all psychopaths say? But what if I told you that anyone, and I mean anyone on the planet, is just one heartbreak, one job loss, one bad day away from becoming a psychopath? Sounds dramatic, right? Like, I bet you're probably thinking that this sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood movie plot. But what if I told you you were wrong? What if I told you that you, right as you're watching this video, might already be a psychopath without even knowing it? So, are you a psychopath? Well, take the red pill with me if you dare, and let's find out why everyone might just be a psychopath just waiting to be revealed to the world. But I must warn you that the rabbit hole of what exactly it means to be a psychopath only gets more scary and crazy from here onwards. So buckle your seatbelts because this is going to be a wild ride.
Psychopaths literally have a different brain than you or I do. Unless, of course, you are a psychopath.
The greatest trick the devil knows convincing the world he didn't exist.
Right.
Depending on where you live, you may be witnessing firsthand this rise in violence across the United States. Data showing homicides in major cities increased in 2021, including New York, where the murder rate shot up by 47%.
You see, study shows that 1 in every 100 people around the world are psychopaths. But what if I told you that you could possibly be one of them? Sounds crazy, right? Well, let's find out.
I've studied over the past 18 years the brains of serial killers. They all have similar kind of brain damage. How you end up with a psychopath and a killer depends on exactly when the damage occurs. It's really a very precisely timed thing. You have different kinds of psychopaths. These are successful psychopaths that have been caught. But there are others that are in everyday life, in business, in government, that we kind of want to be sort of psychopathic without being killed. And this particular PET scan had no orbital cortex activity. It had no temporal lobe activity. This whole sort of limbic system was not functioning. And I said, oh my God, this is one of these killers. It's the exact same pattern as the killer. But when I looked down at the code, it was not one of the killers, it was me.
If you look at what psychopaths are, and I'm not talking about Hannibal Lecter here, I'm talking about actual, normal, everyday psychopaths. They are manipulative. They are often charming. They hate jobs that require serious qualifications. They are people who don't show remorse or have empathy.
You see, to the average person, when you hear the word psychopath, your mind probably jumps straight to serial killers, dictators, mass shooters, and maniacs in padded rooms. You probably imagine cold-blooded murderers, psychopaths with twisted minds, or maybe even terrorists with dead eyes. But I bet you probably never stop to ask yourself this question. What if the real psychopath isn't locked in some asylum? What if the real psychopath is the man next door? Or maybe it's that sweet-looking lady you met in the elevator, that Uber driver that smiled at you this morning. Or wait, maybe it's you. What if the real psychopath has been staring at you this whole time? And yes, I'm talking about the man in the mirror, the reflection that scares you, that makes you question your sanity, that monster you never let out in public, until one day you do. You see, over the years, Hollywood has given us a warped perspective of what a psychopath really is. For generations, we've been spoon-fed fairy tales of heroes and villains, of good triumphing over evil. But the sad truth is that reality isn't always so black and white. And the sad reality is that the systems we've all built, systems like the educational system, the media, politics, as well as law and order, often mask something much deeper and sinister. And sadly, the devil is always in the details. You see, ever since we were born, we've been taught the primal knowledge of good and evil, something that is very primal to us as humans. But what happens when the line between good and evil gets blurred. What happens when good looks like evil and evil like good? You see, there is a saying that says evil corrupts. It's why we cheer for movie superheroes like Batman, but secretly root for the Joker. And yet, the Joker's core philosophy on insanity is more terrifyingly true than we dare to admit. A philosophy that believes that all it takes is one bad day to turn even the sanest person insane. Insanity, as the Joker puts it, is like gravity, and all it takes is a little push to turn anyone into a psychopath.
Madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Well, still not convinced that anyone can be a psychopath? Like, I bet you're probably saying to yourself right now, there's no way that's me, right?
It's not true. That's impossible.
Right? Well, what if I told you you were wrong? You see, we like to think we're the good guys, that we do the right thing. But when the rent's overdue, the fridge is empty, and the world keeps pushing you further and further into a corner, what do you become? And the sad reality is that in today's world, with rising homelessness, credit card debts, never-ending student loans, unemployment, and drug addiction, it's no surprise that people turn to anything for escape. Social media, alcohol, or fantasy. We hide behind filters, the illusion of perfect lives on our social media handles. But the honest truth is that it's all smoking mirrors. And sadly, it's only a coping mechanism to escape the fact that while we might have a picture-perfect life on social media, most people's life in the real world actually sucks. And the rise of fentanyl overdoses, social media addictions, as well as a dopamine-fueled endless scroll addiction on social media is proof that most people are just trying to escape the harsh realities of a world consumed with so much rage, hate, greed, depression, violence, inequality, and lack of empathy. And in a world obsessed with looking perfect, controlled and ruled by algorithms, where most people have the short attention span of a goldfish, the truth is that we've all become digital actors with filtered lives, fake smiles, curated pains. The honest truth is that we don't post reality, we post a highlight reel, a distraction, a mask. But beneath all the likes, the hashtags, and followers lies a much darker truth, which is that society is cracking, and those cracks sadly are being filled with greed, lies, political theater, and synthetic happiness. And as the system gets colder, harsher, and more exploitative, the real question then becomes, in a world teetering on the edge, who is still human or even sane? And it's only when you start to ask questions like this does everything start to unravel, and it becomes obvious to you that maybe everyone out there is just a psychopath just waiting to happen.
There are so many people that are working all day long doing something that is deeply unsatisfying and almost painful, soul killing. They're stuck in traffic all day, and then they're stuck in a cubicle after that. They relish the time to take a shit in the bathroom and look at their phone. I mean, they literally do that. That's a highlight of someone's day. Well, we're so enamored with this idea of working. You know, we're so enamored with this idea of getting a job. We're so enamored with this idea of the structure of civilization as it stands in 2019 is the way to go. So we're teaching kids how to complete this life that they're born into, the way it's established for their parents, the way it's established for their neighborhood. Get in your car, drive to work all day, come home, to essentially be as miserable as everybody else before them, doing the exact same thing.
In these economic times, it's not just the unemployed who are stressed out. Even the people with jobs are. Take a look. What's new in the world of 9 to 5 will make you want to call 911? YouTube makes it look like the American workforce is on the edge of a nervous breakdown. Workers leaders of the world rising up against infuriating workplace oppression, the tyranny of bulky computers, paperless printers, and annoying co-workers.
We all bring baggage to work every day. There's a lot of frustration in our society.
What is it all about?
The rewards of economic gains have gone, as we all know, to fewer rather than more people in society in general. And when people perceive inequity, they're likely to feel angry and they're likely to want to take retributive steps.
As a record number of people hit the road this holiday weekend, an alert about road rage.
Honest, most of us have been a little peeved while driving. It happens. Something about being behind the wheel of a car can make normal, everyday people lose it. But what makes someone go from angry to violent?
You've seen the stories leading your local news and polluting YouTube.
I used to think it was something like people cutting you off. But, one of the things that people really get angry about, if somebody honks the horn at you because you sat too long at a light, I think they literally go from the Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde.
Really any type of person that's more likely to do this.
No, you see all kinds of people, men, women, all socioeconomic classes.
Yeah.
We saw men in suits duking it out in the middle of the street. So everything you can imagine happening on the roadways.
Just snapping like that.
Lawmakers around the world have a history of losing their cool inside the parliament. And we thought this would be a good opportunity to show you some. There's even a term for these political brawls. It's called legislative violence.
See, the honest truth is that while most people hate to admit it, the next psychopath might just be the average guy with a 9-to-5 job he hates, a family he feels detached from, a nagging wife, and a smile masking a slow burning rage, which means that viral moment of delivery guys smashing people's packages, politicians brawling like it's a WWE no-holds-bar match, or adrenaline-filled road rage drivers turning highways into war zones, or even co-workers throwing punches in the break room. Those aren't random. They are warning signs that the world sadly fails to listen to. And while most people laugh and call them crazy and keep scrolling, the sad reality is that this isn't just random chaos or some glitch in the metric. It's a symptom and a warning sign of something much darker and twisted. You see, the dark reality is we live in a world where people fight over reclining airplane seats and trample each other for TVs at a Black Friday sale. The honest truth is that what we're really witnessing here are cracks in a society under extreme pressure, stress, anger, depression, and desperation, all boiling just underneath the surface. The system isn't just broken, it's bleeding and begging for help. In reality, this isn't just about a few unhinged individuals. It's proof that anyone, given the right amount of pressure, can snap. Anyone can become psychotic, and all it takes is just one bad moment. Because honestly, when society keeps breaking people down, when help is a joke and survival becomes the goal, anyone, and yes, even you, can snap. In reality, we are always one tragedy, one lost job, one betrayal away from revealing the animalistic tendencies underneath the mask. And sadly, in our world today, even politicians aren't exempted from this violence. And when we see politicians throwing punches and acting flat out insane, it only proves the fact that no title, no suit, no amount of power can hide just how close we all are to the edge of no return. And that's why most people who couldn't believe someone like Ted Bundy was a serial killer, because to most people he was charming, good looking, and had the face of a promising lawyer. But that's the terrifying part. Psychopaths don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like the guy holding the door out for you like a gentleman. And that's the danger. They blend in, they smile until they snap, and then it's too late. So let's look at some numbers. Every day, an estimated 415 homicides take place globally. And in the US alone, more than 24,000 people are murdered each year. And the scary part is that a staggering number of those cases are linked to untreated mental illnesses, emotional breakdowns, and individuals who under pressure just snap. So, you think it can be you, right? We like to label people like Stalin, Hitler, or Mussolini, and maybe even Putin as evil. We call them monsters. We believe they were born that way, but sadly that's a comforting lie. So now tell me, what would you do if you had the authority to do whatever the hell you wanted to do and you could get away with it? What would you do if you had all the power in the world with no consequences? Would you still be a nice guy? Or would you turn into the very same monsters that you criticize? Because the obvious truth is that nobody is born evil. No one exits the womb with blood on their hands. Evil is made, it's built brick by brick and experience by experience. And sadly, if it can be made into you. So if you've ever screamed at someone over a parking spot, if you've ever fantasized about punching your boss in the face or punching that annoying co-worker in the face, if you've ever gotten into a fist fight over a Black Friday TV, then yeah, you might just be a psychopath, but not in the way you think. You see, we live in a world where people are being pushed to the edge every single day. We spend years in school solving for X just to end up in a job that pays less than your rent. You take on mountain loads of student debt only to find out your degree doesn't mean anything in the real world. You work 2 jobs, get no respect, no purpose, and no peace. Just bills, stress, depression, and a slow burning identity crisis. And somewhere along the way, you snap. It's not sudden, it's been silently brooding and boiling underneath for a while, until one day you snap. So when you see those videos of an employee throwing a package, screaming in traffic, smashing someone's windshield, just remember that these events are only a symptom of a problem more deep-rooted than most people know. But the sad reality is that no one ever takes note of these symptoms, and the internet carries on to the next viral moment. The internet laughs, but no one sees the real horror behind the scenes. A society quietly going insane with no help inside. Because honestly, these scenes aren't just about bad behavior. It's about a system that grinds people down until there's nothing left. And sadly, when people realize that concepts like the American dream is just a well-dressed lie,
the American dream is dead.
That no matter how hard they work, they will never be happy, safe, or hard. When they realize that they were born into a rigged system from the day they were born, just another cog in a cold-hearted machine that treats people like disposable trash on a conveyor belt, that's when humanity really starts to rot. The honest truth is that most of the road rage, the riots, the random breakdowns, they are not acts of madness, they are cries for help. And sadly, we only ever listen when the world burns and when it's already too late. Well, still not convinced that you might just be a psychopath? Well, let's rewind this story to a true event. You see, after the CEO of United Healthcare was murdered, something strange happened.
Last week, the CEO of United Healthcare was shot dead in New York. His name was Brian Thompson. He led one of the biggest insurance firms in America. His killer is a 26-year-old man, Luigi Mangione. The cops couldn't arrest him from the crime scene. All they had was a CCTV photo, so naturally they released the picture online. The hope was that someone would see him and tip them off. But guess what happened? Some internet users found the assassin cute. They began thirsting over his smile. If you think that's weird, buckle in. Luigi was finally arrested on Monday from a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. Someone spotted him there and alerted the cops. Again, guess what happened next? Internet users began dropping negative reviews for that McDonald's. They called the staff rats and snitches. Why? Because they tipped off the police. And And it doesn't end here. The bullet casings used by Luigi were engraved. They said, deny, defund, and depose.
Well, that killing is drawing unexpected reaction on social media. Many people expressing support for the shooter. As Fox 11's Gina Silva reports, this has everything to do with the high cost of healthcare.
Nobody deserves to get on their way to work. Nobody deserves to get their healthcare claims denied either.
All over social media, people are posting how they feel about the victim.
Someone said thoughts and prayers and deductibles.
And the shooter in the United Healthcare murder case.
The assassin was super impressive, okay? We've never seen anything like this.
The high-profile killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson has sparked discussions about healthcare policies, corporate practices, and economic frustrations.
Social media celebrated. People called the killer, and people called the killer a modern-day Robin Hood. They applauded the death of a billionaire who, through the lens of most people in the public, symbolized the corporate greed of mega corporations like Big Pharma, who rake in billions by exploiting the sick. And while celebrating any murder is disturbing, it revealed something chilling, that given the right context, even you might cheer for a killing, which proves that the real psychopaths don't always wear blood-stained clothes. Sometimes they wear suits or lab coats or sit behind presidential desks. And the honest truth is that power doesn't corrupt, it only reveals what is lurking underneath. And if you need more proof that anyone, and I mean anyone, can be a psychopath, I mean, just look at how the landscape of politics in America has become more and more violent over the years.
Assaulted your wife?
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore.
A world where political violence and assassination is glorified and endorsed. I mean, just look at the Charlie Kirk incidents, where within moments of Charlie Kirk's death, you had everyday people from lawyers, doctors, surgeons, teachers, and politicians all glorifying and justifying his death.
Times. Wild times when people celebrate people getting killed now. Like, that never happened before. Like, even when someone bad got killed before, you're like, oh, wow, that's kind of crazy.
The fact that people were cheering when he died, normal people, housewives, moms, like people working at banks, people working at various industries, celebrating a man getting shot in front of his kids, in front of the whole world.
That's evil.
What the is wrong with us? Most people recognize, like, hey, as a collectively, as a society, this is not right. He just got shot in front of the whole world. It's not a thing to celebrate ever.
And sadly, this showcases a rather disturbing trend, which is that in our world today, violence is not only encouraged, but it's glorified. And sadly, this is due to years and years of propaganda, manipulation, and disinformation from mainstream media and social media, creating echo chambers where people are told that the other side is evil and that the other side is a threat to democracy. And sadly, with things like this going on, it's no surprise that violence and crime is at an all-time high in our world today. And this is fueled by the monopoly that these mainstream media companies own.
But wait!
Let's talk about propaganda, greed, and exploitation, and how mega corporations like Big Pharma hike up drug prices to ridiculous amounts, pricing out those who need medication just to live. About how big media spoon feed you ridiculous narratives, often controlled by the same 6 media conglomerates. Let's talk about how 6 media companies own and control almost all the media people see and listen to. About how Disney owns all of this, Comcast owns all of this, and News Corp owns all of this.
And sadly, it's leading to things like this.
Seen that video where it shows local news people? I'll send it to Jamie. It's local news people all saying like the exact same thing. It's really weird. It's one of those things where you go like, I kind of knew that this happened, but to see it happen so blatantly.
Of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media.
This is fucking scary. Yeah, this is the scariest.
Well, that's propaganda. I mean, this is they're trying to bend a narrative in a very specific way for everybody, and they're warning you about something that's a legitimate concern, the false information, but they're also spreading it all the time.
Which means you basically have a small group of people owning and controlling a big percentage of the information the public gets to see, and being able to put whatever spin on the news that suits whatever narrative they want you to think. You think you're informed, but sadly you've been just programmed, and with such an insane monopoly on information this giant media corporation have, it's no surprise that our world today is filled with so much disinformation, anger, division, racism, protests, riots, and destruction. Which further begs the question, well then with so much mistrust and disinformation, well then what can we trust? Well, how about the educational system, which was funded in part by people like
Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller,
a man who literally said, and I quote, "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers," end quote. And the scary part about the educational system is that most kids start out innocent enough with their imaginations running wild, believing that they could change the world. Most kids dreamed of becoming astronauts, doctors, physicists, people who could and would change and revolutionize the world. But that was sadly until a cruel, soulless, and heartless world and educational system transforms them into a middle-aged couch potato, working a 9-to-5 job, working paycheck to paycheck, stuck in the rat race like a hamster on a wheel. Imagine working paycheck to paycheck at a job you hate for a boss who treats you like dirt. You wake up dreading Mondays like a plague and live only for Fridays and spend hours stuck in traffic every day. The frustration from your work is absolutely killing you inside. And sadly, the routine never changes. Day in, day out, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, 365 days a year. Day after day, you find yourself stuck in the same boring, annoying job. And then it hits you that maybe everything you were taught by the educational system about success was a lie. And maybe, just maybe, your life kind of sucks. And the crazy part is that this cycle repeats itself over and over and over again, creating generation after generation of people stuck in the endless maze of the rat race.
And in this moment, it starts to dawn on you that in a world where most people work a boring 9-to-5 job, stuck trying to fight inflation like the final boss in a game that seems rigged from the beginning. And in a world today where people are constantly working paycheck to paycheck like a cat desperately chasing a
laser pointer. At some point, you start to realize that escape is inevitable when the game itself is rigged.
With unemployment being at an all-time high and with AI taking and replacing most jobs, well, then maybe people like Rockefeller got exactly what they wanted. A world that never sleeps, that is constantly stuck working paycheck to paycheck like busy bees with nothing to show for it. You work, you obey, you don't ask questions. You get saddled with student loans for degrees that are rendered obsolete in the age of AI. You live in a world designed not to enlighten you, but to condition you, to indoctrinate you, and to break you. So what happens when you finally break? Do you turn on yourself or on others? And in that moment, when you are stripped of your job, your identity, your illusions, your relationships, then and only then does the mask fall, and most people start to see what's underneath. You meet the real you, and sometimes you don't like what you see. And this is the reason why our world today is filled with so much violence, chaos, and riots. And sadly, in a world where propaganda controls perception and the average person is crushed under the weight of hopelessness, is it really so shocking that some people snap? Is it really so surprising that the mask every now and then slips? Because honestly, no one is born a psychopath. We just become one. Every trauma, every lie, every betrayal, every false hope chisels away at your sanity. And when the system breaks you hard and long enough, you either bend or you break.
So here we lie deep in our thoughts, asking questions like, are we even sane? What does sanity even mean in our world today? And even worse, are we all psychopaths just waiting to be triggered? Well then, if so, that means that the next maniac or killer that makes the news or goes viral on social media might not be the typical Hannibal Lecter lookalike that everyone thinks a psychopath should look like. Sadly, it might just be that average guy with endless bills to pay, working an average job that drives him insane, with an annoying boss that treats him like trash. To the world, he is calm, invincible, despicable, just another cog in a cold system that treats people like him as disposable trash, until one day, sadly, he snaps, makes the news headlines, and goes viral on social media. But sadly, in a week or two, the world forgets about him and moves on to the next trending topic. And you want to know the truth? Sadly, the cycle repeats itself over and over. Different subjects and maybe victim, but same old problem from a world living on the edge. And the insane part is, the only time the world ever pauses to actually notice people like this guy, it's only when it is too late and they make the headlines. But can you blame the system? After all, we live in a world living on the edge, constantly chasing the next trending topic like a cat chasing a laser pointer. A world that glorifies and is obsessed with the 7 deadly sins of pride, greed, envy, lust, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Well, I think in a world like this, the question begging to be asked is, are we all psychopaths wearing a smiling mask? And you want to know the truth? Sadly, it's only when you start to ask questions like this that everything really starts to unravel and you're left with the all-important question. So again, I ask you, are you a psychopath? Now, I know you're probably going to say no. So let me rephrase the question. Are you a psychopath in the making? Well, I'll leave that for you to answer yourself. My name is Media Anarchist, and if you enjoyed this video, then you should definitely subscribe for more, where we tear apart entertainment with brutal honesty, fresh takes, and zero corporate fluff. So what are you waiting for? Join the rebellion, and I'll see you in the next one.